It's a difficult world out there. In many countries all around the world, the cost of living is still getting more and more expensive, and those rising costs is really making life difficult for many, whether it be to afford groceries, gas and energy, rent or your mortgage. And one big price everyone has to pay is a huge reduction of their own disposable income, which means that for many watch obsessives and watch collectors around the world, the number of purchases may be down, and ultimately we may see a number of new microbrands trying to enter the market who don't get funded. So for me, it takes somebody really brave to launch a new watch in this current climate, and many new microbrands need to fight harder to win custom and fight harder for what is becoming a much more restricted market. So when newly formed microbrand Quasar sent me their Starlight Automatic, I couldn't wait to learn more about it and was really keen to see what sets them apart from other Kickstarter launches. And stick around as I take the Starlight Automatic to the Yorkshire Wildlife Park in Doncaster, here in gloomy England. As ever, it's fantastic to have you here. But before we do anything else, here's a bit of a wild and crazy 90-second spec. Quasar are a newly formed microbrand based in the lovely city of Stoke-on-Trent, here in sunny England, and started by Adam Marshall, who wanted to design a brand and a watch that has space and the universe ingrained in its foundation. So when he sent me the Starlight Automatic in their green goldstone colourway, which incidentally is one of two colourways alongside the blue goldstone, I was really keen to see what its main feature was. Well, that has space in the universe ingrained in its foundation. And boy, was I not disappointed. The Starlight Automatic series features this quite stunning dial made from real goldstone crystal. So as we know, goldstone is a man-made material that's sometimes called adventuring glass. Now goldstone contains a lot of smooth, highly reflective inclusions, usually copper or molten glass, but it's not the copper as we know it. The way that copper is produced forms this octahedral shaped crystals, and the goldstone used here is littered with these highly reflective inclusions, which actually is seen better in natural daylight, which caused a bit of a problem for me to film as it rains here literally every single day in the UK. But I managed to find a break in the gloomy weather to run outside in my gym jams and take a few shots in my back garden really quickly before my next door neighbour saw me, well, in my Pokemon pyjamas. As mentioned in my bonkers 90-second spec, the Starlight Automatic is 11.5mm thick, has a 41mm case, is 47.5mm lug to lug, 20mm at the lug with this 316 stainless steel bracelet tapering down to 18mm at the signed deployment clasp. Going back to that dial, above that stunning goldstone crystal, you'll find tapered baton hour markers applied all in white with a high polished silver outline, and note that there is no 12 o'clock baton, with Quasar instead opting to go with their main branding, 3-tiered, logo at the top, brand name under, with the product branding underneath that. Note that the brand name and product name are in different fonts. Alpha hour and minute hands feature again in white with a high polished silver outline, and those hour markers, the branding and the hands are generously applied with C3 Super Luminova. And I must say, I was on the fence when I saw perhaps what I thought was overkill of branding, but seeing it loomed up, it really works. And it all sits underneath a domed sapphire crystal with AR coating. Now this prototype hasn't got a domed crystal, but the production models will. On the reord, between the minute markers are sub-seconds in fifths, making this watch feel quite precision orientated. And speaking of which, this is powered by an NH35 automatic self-winding caliber, 21,600 beats per hour, giving the second hand a nice sweeping feel across that very precise reord. With the NH35 there's 41 hours of power reserve, 24 joules and hacking seconds. As we know, it's a common movement, one of the most popular with this date complication at the 3 o'clock position too. It's also worth mentioning that the crown is a crafted spherical crown, and whilst this prototype is 50 meters water resistant, Quasar say that their release model will be 100 meters. The case is very highly polished, complementing that very sparkly dial, and is 316 stainless steel. Just note that this is not the 316L grade stainless steel, which is the low carbon version of this 316 stainless steel. In this case is fairly classic in style, decent sized bezel, not too small, not too chunky, allowing that dial to really be the star of the show. There's some chamfered edging between lug to lug, again all very high polished. The bracelet is this 316 stainless steel, pretty standard I must say, again very high polish, and this bracelet has a signed deployment clasp, and the Starlight Automatic will be launched with a leather strap as an optional extra. Now on the wrist it feels fairly decent. Those dimensions of 41mm case diameter and 47.5 lug to lug fit fine on my 7.5 inch wrist. The dial looks nice and big, with that goldstone crystal really the star of the show. Now Quasar hope to launch this on Kickstarter in early May 2023. The early bird Kickstarter rate will be £250 UK, which is around about $305 US in today's market, with the RRP at £500 or approximately $610 US. At £250, around about $305 US, you get decent bang for your buck. The NH35 movement is pretty decent, if not premium. Loads of C3 lume, and that goldstone crystal will really give you that differentiating option when you're at your collection in the morning before you go to work and you're wondering what to wear on your wrist. For me, if I was going to be picky about anything, I'd probably say the bracelet is its only real letdown. Again, just being really picky. It jangles much like you'd expect a 316 stainless steel bracelet to jangle, and you may be hard pressed to find an equally high polished, more premium bracelet to replace it. So I think that the early bird rate of £250 is a decent price for what you get, but I'd urge you to get one of the optional leather straps. And this green leather strap actually looks pretty decent, but for the purposes of my walkabout at the end of my vid, I'll be wearing this steel, mainly due to style over substance. And whilst that green strap will look absolutely mint over the summer months, it's freezing cold here in the UK, and the steel will fit in better with my winter attire. But look, don't let that bracelet put you off. As I mentioned, you get really good bang for your buck with a £250 early bird, and I think that this watch has enough about it to warrant that early bird commitment, not least that beautiful goldstone crystal. And bear in mind that there will only be 250 pieces of each colourway made available, but do keep an eye on their Kickstarter launch and get on that early bird if you can. Good morning, Quasar Starlight. And we are off. Oh yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, I feel salmon.
So he's going on him.
Salmon.
And then we'll have to do together, then he goes near him when he's
I wanted to eat a seagull.
Whoa! Did you see that?
I wanted to eat a seagull. I want to see how that works.
Can I get in, please?
Alright, I think you can see exactly where it's been brought because it's like all eroded.
Yeah, he probably normally walks in.
Then where does it go to sleep?
We've got mayonnaise. Leo, this mayonnaise is more like salad.
Holy moly, guacamole. Oh, in the middle line. Yeah, very good. I thought you meant all the way over there.
Sounds like me on a Monday morning.
I just don't get crystals.
And we are back.